It watched from the tree, an allegedly true account by Viggo Oldman. Spring, somewhere in rural Maine. You ever read those yellow-tinted fringe papers in the back of an old gas station? The kind that claim Bigfoot runs a moonshine ring in the Appalachians, or that Elvis is working a bait shop in Utah. Yeah, those. I used to laugh at those. Hell, I even collected a few back when I was a kid, building PCs in my parents' garage in Denver, soldering boards, wiring fans, booting systems just to see if they'd hold. They were my distractions from the louder fights happening in the other room. I grew up around chaos. Naturally, I became very good at navigating in it. But I never laughed after Maine. That stormy spring night back in 2023, I saw something that still rewires my dreams. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'd love to show you the scars, but they're not on the skin. They are deeper, somewhere darker. Let me take you back. I'm part of a classified unit under an agency you've never heard of. Most people call us trackers or cleaners. We hunt what the public isn't allowed to believe in. Skinwalkers, Wendigos, Rougarou, you name it. Stuff too old for science and too real for fairy tales. This mission was supposed to be quick, in and out. Rural land, outside of Brownville, Maine. You know the kind of place. Old barns leaning like they're tired of existing. Trees standing like mute witnesses, and silence so thick you feel like you're being muffled. The briefing was vague, but it always is. Locals reported mutilated livestock, missing pets, and some nonsense about a man who turned into a deer. I brushed it off at first. It screamed drunken hillbilly tall tales, until I caught the detail that gave me pause. It was behind the tree, just watching. Didn't move, just stared. That's a skinwalker tactic. You see, they don't always charge. Sometimes they watch, mimic, adapt. They're cursed beings, once human, now shape-shifting abominations tied to ancient rituals and blood sacrifices. You don't kill one, like you do bear or a rogue wolf. You survive them, if you're lucky. I'd read that exact behavior once, in a copy of The Weekly Strange, buried in a pawn shop near Colorado Springs. The article described a Navajo legend about a creature that waits until you see it, then starts learning how to be you. It starts behind the tree. Team composition: me, Harper, quiet ex-military, good with a long-range rifle. Dunn, younger guy, tech specialist, cocky, thinks silver bullets are edgy. Ramos, older, blunt, and always smelled like cigars, melee specialist, prefers a double-headed axe. We got dropped off near a collapsed bridge. No chopper, weather was too rough, storm clouds like black bruise marks hung overhead, and the wind tasted like iron. We advanced on foot into the woods, soaked in minutes, boots chewing through the mud like it owed us money. The forest was wrong. No birds, no bugs. Just the wind whispering things that didn't make sense. I kept checking my 6, even though protocol was tight. Then we saw it. It was during a sweep near an abandoned tool shed. Harper spotted it first. Viggo, 9 o'clock, 20 meters behind the pine. I turned my night vision goggles and froze. Something was behind that tree. Too tall for a man, but it had the silhouette of one. Thin limbs, bent posture, and antlers? No, not quite. Its head was wrong, misshapen, like a mask too small for the face underneath. It didn't move, didn't even twitch, just watched us. No blinking, no shifting weight, just that stillness that screamed predator. We didn't engage. You don't shoot unless it moves, and God help you if you speak its name aloud. So we skirted around, slow, flashlights off, heartbeats loud. It never chased. It just stood there behind the pine, like it was taking notes. That was encounter 1. We found the old cabin around 0100. It was collapsing on one side, like something had smashed into it. Blood on the walls, human, not animal. Drag marks led to the woods, but we weren't stupid enough to follow them, not yet. Then it started toying with us. Footsteps, ours, started repeating around us. I don't mean echoes, I mean it copied our movements. Ramos went around back, and 10 seconds later we heard the same footsteps circle again from the front. Except it wasn't him. Dunn tried radioing in a sweep, but all we got back was our own static looped in reverse. He freaked, told me, "It's like it's hacking our comms." I said no, it's mimicking them. Encounter number 2 happened fast. We'd set up a small perimeter near a downed tree. Harper had her scope ready. Ramos was sharpening that axe of his like it calmed him down. I was checking the ground for sigils. Sometimes skinwalkers use them to ward off rivals or lure prey. Then we heard the ripping, like raw meat being torn off the bone, wet, violent, snapping. We turned to see a shadow hunched over Ramos, not standing, not stalking. It had pounced. Its form was part man, part elk, but its limbs bent backwards, its jaw split too wide, skin hanging like it didn't belong, eyes blacker than the storm above. It didn't just attack, it tore. Ramos screamed once, just once. Harper opened fire. I joined in. Silver-coated rounds, blessed ash tips. Didn't slow it down much, but it noticed. It backed off, vanished into the trees like it had dissolved. We reached Ramos, what was left of him, and yeah, we had to leave him. Dunn wanted to carry his body, but I told him straight, you carry him, it knows you're weak. You mourn now, it copies grief. You run, maybe we'll live. I hated myself for it. I still do. We ran. No formation, just pure survival. Gunmetal sky above, branches clawing at our faces. And behind us, laughter. But not human laughter, it was our voices, twisted, echoing things we'd said back in the cabin. I screamed for Harper, saw her vault a log, then vanish. Dunn tripped, and I yanked him up by his vest. Didn't matter how far we ran, the thing was always 2 steps ahead. Then we saw the road. A single beam of headlights sliced through the downpour. A truck, old, red, and thank every god above, it slowed down. We ran out, waving like madmen. The driver, a bearded man in his 60s, opened the door and yelled, "Jesus, what the hell happened to y'all?" We didn't answer, just jumped in. He floored it without asking another word. I looked back. It was there, standing at the tree line, watching, the same as it had at the beginning, just behind the tree. They never found Harper. Dunn quit the program 2 weeks later. I don't blame him. Me? I went home to Denver, locked the door, rebuilt an old gaming PC. My hands still shake when I solder. Sometimes, when I'm alone, I see something in the corner of my eye. Something tall, still, watching. I don't tell my family. My wife wouldn't believe me. My daughter, she's too young. But I warn them to never go camping in Maine. I tell them the woods there were cursed, and I don't read yellow newspapers anymore, because sometimes they're telling the truth. It watched first, then it slammed. An allegedly true account by Dean Cavill. Ever read Predator Monthly? Yeah, I know it sounds like something for bored hunters or wannabe trackers, but buried in issue number 223, between ballistics tests and some article about cryptid migration theory, was a short feature called The Ozark Howler, Myth or Mutation. It talked about oversized wolf sightings going back to the 1800s, mentioned locals hearing something pacing their barns at 3 a.m., then vanishing before they could load a shell, laughed it off back then, filed it under tabloid bait. But that article had a drawing. Big creature, lupine snout, hunched back, claws like steak knives. And the eyes? It got the damn eyes right. I didn't laugh after what happened in those mountains. Let me walk you through. One night, one team, one dogman. Location: northern edge of the Ozark Mountains. Season: spring, though it sure as hell felt like February. Weather: snow, heavy, silent, like a muffled curse from the clouds. Mission: recon and recover. Something had gutted two wildlife researchers. The bodies were found with claw marks that made bears look like rabbits. Locals blamed a rogue mountain lion. We knew better. My name's Dean Cavill, born in Austin. Lifted my first barbell at 12. Now I hunt things that don't die easy. I'm part of a government division you'll never hear about on the news. We answer when the monsters don't just scratch at the door, they break it down. Team roster: me, lead hunter, standard kit, high caliber sidearm, silver edge machete, flare gun. Michaela, Mac, Monroe, field medic, smart as hell, carried a sawed-off and a tranquilizer rifle. Curtis, Kurt Rayburn, explosives expert, former Marine, had more knives on him than skin. Lars Bennett, tracker, quiet, always watching tree line, carried a scoped hunting rifle and a kukri. We were flown in and dropped 6 clicks from the last known site. No GPS this deep, just topography maps and nerves. The snow was falling like ash, dry, whisper, soft, covering everything in silence. It wasn't supposed to snow in spring, not this much, not this fast. Mac joked it felt like the forest was trying to erase its own tracks. That joke didn't age well. We found the remains at dusk. 2 tents shredded from the inside, the snow around them painted red. Not just blood, chunks, flesh torn like someone had reached in and twisted. Claw marks everywhere, deep enough to break bone. Then I found it, a footprint, too wide for a wolf, too long for a man. Digitigrade stance, heel up, massive ball in toe, pads down, no boot treads, no claw drag, just clean, heavy steps. That's when Lars said it, something's watching. We all turned our lights toward the ridge behind the camp. It took a second to spot it. There, just behind the snow-frosted pine, was the silhouette of a creature, tall, hunched. The snow didn't touch it, I remember that clearly. It just sat there, staring. Its eyes caught the light and didn't reflect like normal eyes. They glowed, yellow, not like headlights, more like furnace embers. Nobody moved. We held formation, guns ready but low. You don't provoke something that isn't provoking you. Lars whispered, "It's testing us." I think he was right, because after a long minute, it turned slowly, silently, and vanished into the trees. We agreed to move. Mission status changed from observe to extract. We hiked out, tighter formation, weapons up, no more chatter. The snow had thickened, blinding now, and the trees pressed closer. I kept checking our flank, then the noises started. First a crunch behind us, then to the left, then nothing, then slam. It hit Kurt like a freight train. One moment he was behind me, next he was airborne, slammed into a tree with so much force the trunk cracked. The snow exploded outward in a shockwave. Max screamed. I spun and fired blindly, 3 shots, center mass. Heard the thud of something heavy hitting the snow, then a growl. Low, wet, deep enough to shake my ribs. Kurt didn't get up. I saw his eyes open, but the rest of him wasn't right. Bent wrong, neck no longer aligned. We ran. Lars took point, slicing through the thickest brush. I stayed rear guard. Mac kept in the middle, clutching her medkit, and that sold off like a lifeline. The growls kept the pace. We never saw the creature again. Not fully. Just movement, a flash of fur, a glimpse of that hunchback silhouette between the trees, claws scraping bark as it circled us. This was no mindless beast. It was hunting us, herding us. Lars threw a flare over the rage, and the red light illuminated it for half a second. Those legs, digitigrade, massive, corded with muscle. Its torso, though it was too long, as if it was stretched, like a human shape warped into something it was never meant to be. Its mouth was open, too many teeth, layered like a shark. We dropped low, hid beneath a snow-covered log pile, breaths fogging, barely daring to blink. It walked by, sniffing, snarling, but it didn't find us. Not yet. We stayed down until we couldn't feel our legs. Then we moved, slow, careful, silent, like ghosts in the woods. I don't even know how long we crawled like that. Hours? Days? Time bends when your life's on a thread. Eventually, Lars spotted a cabin, abandoned but intact. We broke in, barricaded the door, and didn't speak, not a word. Inside I found an old hunting magazine, must have been then 10 or 15 years old. Flipped around it while Mac cleaned the blood from her boots with shaking hands. There it was, same damn sketch I remember from years ago. Dogman, they called it. It had a quote from an unnamed tracker. If it doesn't kill you right away, it wants something worse, to make you run, to break you first. I believed every word. At first light, if you could call it that, we moved, found a surface trail, followed it. 20 minutes later we heard the rumble of an engine, a snowplow. We ran like hell and flagged it down. The driver let us, without asking questions. Smart man. We didn't say much until we got back to the base. Mac filed the report. Lars took a leave of absence. I hit the gym. Needed to remind myself I still had strength, that I wasn't just prey. But even now, I keep that old magazine in my gear locker. That drawing of the dogman, it was too accurate to be fiction. Something ancient walks the Ozarks, smart, fast, cruel. It watched first, then it slammed, and I don't think we were the first ones it played with, or the last. The Thing That Waited, an allegedly true account by Chuck Cavell. You ever had that kind of silence that doesn't feel natural? Not the quiet of a peaceful fishing spot or the calm before a storm. I mean the suffocating kind, where even the wind holds its breath, and the trees lean in just a little too close, like they know something you don't. That's the kind of quiet we walked into, and I swear to you on everything I got left, it was watching us the whole damn time. My name's Chuck Cavell, born and raised in Pryor, Kentucky. Small town, hardworking folks. I spent most of my free time fishing, and I used to think that was peace. Just me, a cooler of beer, and the patience to outweigh the catfish. These days, I fish less, sleep less, and trust the woods a whole lot less. I work for a government division that doesn't have a name on paper. We deal with things that shouldn't exist, not aliens or ghosts. Worse, the things that slip through the cracks, the ones your grandma warned you about in hushed tones when you were a kid. This particular mission, I wasn't prepared for it. Location: Kisatchie National Forest, Louisiana. Time of year: spring. Weather: snowing, which, if you know Louisiana, is the first red flag. It doesn't snow like that there, not in April. Team: me, standard loadout, pump action shotgun with iron slugs, flare gun, belt knife, thermal gear. Rourke, scout, lean build, nerves of steel, always smoked those awful clove cigarettes. Diane, Red Mercer, our sniper, dry humor, sharp aim. She packed a suppressed 308 and wore body armor like it was a second skin. Torres, close combat and demolition, big dude, scar across his cheek from a ghoul back in Idaho, carried a tactical axe and the Desert Eagle. Our orders were vague: locate missing surveyors who vanished 2 days earlier while mapping erosion patterns along an abandoned river delta. Locals weren't talking much, but one ranger admitted, "It ain't wolves. Wolves don't do that. This thing did." He wouldn't elaborate, just gave us a look that said more than words ever could. We were dropped by a chopper at 1400 hours. Snow was already falling hard, but it was dry, like ash, made the air smell wrong, like burnt copper. We moved in formation, no prints around the site, no blood, just a smell, something between rotting meat and soil left out in the sun too long. Rourke muttered, "You ever seen weather like this in Louisiana?" I shook my head. Not unless the end times are kicking off. We reached the first camp by sunset. Tents collapsed, bags torn open. One of the surveyor's journals was still intact. The last entry was scrawled and frantic. "Something is circling, doesn't show in the lights. I think it's under the snow or behind it." That's when we realized how quiet it had become. No animals, not even the wind. And then Diane spoke up. "It's watching." At first I thought she meant a drone or maybe some redneck with a scoped rifle, but I turned toward where she was looking, northeast, toward a line of cypress trees thick with Spanish moss. There, half concealed behind one of the trees, was something. At first I couldn't make out the shape. It blended into the shadows, but then it leaned, just enough for us to catch a sliver of its face. And I use the word face loosely. Its skin was stretched too tight, like old leather left in the sun. Its eyes sunken, black, but alive in a way I can't explain. There was intelligence there, hunger too. Rourke raised his rifle. "Permission to engage?" "No," I said. Because it didn't move, it hadn't attacked. It was just watching. Diane adjusted her scope. "It's not afraid of us." Torres spat. "Maybe we should teach it why it should be." And just like that, it was gone. No sound, no snow disturbed. It just vanished. We made the call to hold the position and wait out the night. It was too risky to move in darkness with poor visibility and an unknown threat that could blend with trees. We set up camp in the remains of the surveyor outpost, reinforced what we could, laid down motion sensors, heat traps, even spread a ring of magnesium powder around the tents. If something crossed it, it'd flare. And we waited. The snow didn't stop. Rourke took first watch. I sat next to Diane, cleaning my shotgun. She asked me what I thought we were dealing with. I told her the truth. I don't know. I've read dossiers of ghouls, skinwalkers, even saw a dogman once in Tennessee. But this isn't it, any of the files. She nodded. Then we're not in control. I hate when she's right. Around 0300, Rourke woke us up with one word: tracks. They were inside the magnesium ring, long, three-toed impressions, like claws dragging across ice. But the flare hadn't gone off. That's when Torres checked the line and realized something had brushed it from the outside, just enough to trigger a false positive without crossing it. This thing knew how to test us. It was smart, patient, and it was still out there, watching. At 0515, we heard a scream. It wasn't human. It sounded like something pretending to be human. High-pitched, ragged, painful. We rushed out against protocol. I know, but hearing something scream like that does things to your head. Rourke led the way. Diane covered rear. We found a clearing, a deer carcass torn open, steaming in the snow. That's when it struck. It dropped from a tree 8 feet tall, long limbs, mouth gaping like a cracked ribcage. Antlers sharp and brittle, but unnatural, branching out like bone coral. It slammed into Torres, tossed him like a chew toy. He hit a tree and didn't get back up. I fired twice. Both rounds hit. It shrieked like metal on metal. Diane landed a shot to the shoulder and it twitched, but didn't fall. Rourke hit it with a flare. That made it recoil. Like it hated the light, it vanished into the storm. We dragged Torres back. He was breathing, barely. We held the line till dawn. At daybreak, we voted. Extraction was too far. We couldn't wait. The storm was still thick, but we had GPS lines leading toward the ranger outpost 5 miles east. We moved. Rourke carried Torres on a makeshift sled. Diane and I kept rear guard. We didn't talk. Every branch snap made us flinch. Every shadow fell too deep. But the creature never returned. I don't know why. Maybe it got what it wanted. Maybe the light scared it off. Or maybe it was just letting us go, so we'd remember. We reached the outpost by noon, frozen, bloodied, but alive. I asked Diane later what she thought it was. She just said, something older than fear. I tried looking it up when I got back. Closest match? Wendigo. But I'd never heard of one before, never read about them, never trained for it. Now, I see it in my dreams, waiting, watching, always, just behind the trees.